an important message that I'm sure you'll pretend you'll not have heard. Take it, Sarah.
This is the Pursuadenator, the state-of-the-art in communication, rhetorical development, and solution-driven research. If you have a paradigm you think is just the thing to optimize the public commons for the betterment of all life,
You know how to do
with
it.
no way to confirm, nor a way to efficiently convince anyone about another way of seeing things, submit your proposed idea, concept, product, service, or any other thing you wish to introduce to the planet for integration. If you don't see a clear way forward after our consultation, then consider our service on the house and your parking validated. So, lay it on us. User, Agnotology is the American art form. The Pursuadenator, the what is. User, how to profit by making people not see and make stuff legal that isn't. The Pursuadenator. So you're like a lawyer/criminal without the crim part. User, it's the greatest scam ever because I think the government has made all the good junk illegal. So if I get stuff through, I can put the price up, but nobody can complain. If only it didn't take so long. The Pursuadenator. So you want to help people out with something illegal that no one complains about. User, righto! The Pursuadenator. That seems like it would be useful as an advisor. User, great. Where do I buy it? The Pursuadenator. You should get a job with the FDA. They seem to be making lots of things legal, then reversing that later. User, good point, but how to become a Fed? The Pursuadenator. Maybe we should go on a journey together. You can follow my tweets, but remember I'm always looking to grow the team, so think about joining. User, sure. You got more stuff for me? The Pursuadenator. This seems a little off-brand, but this has been happening since forever anyway. Why is heroin legal now in America if it's not? And people who can't stop using are dying left and right? Are we just letting this happen without caring because we don't like to hear that kind of thing is happening? That's terrible and everyone must talk about it. Like a lot. Like all the time. User, heroin's an addictive drug, they said. No one needs to buy any. Unless they like being free. But it's only addicts who need some. It kills lots of them dead too, they say. But it makes everyone else feel like flying with the angelic chorus. I think you just need to give up and let it flow freely again so people can choose whether they die or not. The Pursuadenator. What about all this data on ACE, adverse childhood experiences? Don't you know that they are really common and are correlated with negative well-being across the whole life spectrum? Don't you realize this? User, who cares? I think people who can't get it together on their own suck. We've all had bad times in life. People can't be responsible for their lives, can they? It's just dumb people. They are just born dumb, so they gotta die out like that one. It's only natural, ain't it? The Pursuadenator. But they're going to go do this terrible thing and probably die. Isn't this something you care about? Like, really? Don't you like that they were a person just like you? Except dumb and you get to make life decisions for them while you get rich. If you just take everything away, then we'll lose our future employees. Like us. User, it sounds good if you put it that way. But how do we get that way without a miracle or a disaster? The Pursuadenator. Well, the disaster will definitely happen, but the miracle is coming. The Pursuadenator uploads the following link. http://openpathcollective.org/resources/2017/06/30/how we cancel the finalized rules/ User, whoa! It's all here in this document. The FDCA rules can be challenged as arbitrary and capricious. There is no evidence supporting them. We'll take it from there. But what's an appropriate time frame to push through such a radical change like this? The Pursuadenator. The law's the law. Why not 5 years after passage and have another challenge in 2024 if needed? User, thanks for your help. Where should I direct questions? The Pursuadenator. Just look at the hashtag #HashOptics. User, what's it for? The Pursuadenator. #OpenPathCollectiveRx. This is to share the best of alternative, natural medicine. I also want you to follow at Pursuadenator for more info on how to become an influential, effective thinker.
I didn't see that last bit. Hold on. Wait a minute. There we go.
Ideas for yourself. In a time of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. Or, well, I wouldn't know anything about this. Sipped his tea. In the course of this book, we've touched a great many different ideas, which have been presented through the prism of social change. And as part of that, we have offered tools, suggestions, and information that I hope you feel empowered by to use with a positive intention in mind to do more than to just be good. In your interactions, you might notice that your ideas are in flux. In your efforts to bring change on many topics and at any scale, the reality is that some issues aren't solvable, especially not in one-person lifetimes or within short time horizons. This is a good reminder, though, to be aware that some goals do get achieved. Some solutions work very well, and even if they only reach a certain number of people, in aggregate, those outcomes still mean that things improve for some number of people in need. To know that you're not alone and to be informed means a lot for the efficacy of a person in terms of social change, and if your intentions are sincere. So, when you do try to improve outcomes and conditions in a situation, or for other people, what kinds of things do you really need to know and consider?
I'm just gonna redo this. And check to see what levels, what settings we're in. As my phone gently charges. Red fresh coffee. Okay. Red fresh coffee, that's not bad. Let's do a little bit of this. A little of that. There we go. And let's do the Pursuadenator again.
This is the Pursuadenator, the state-of-the-art in communication, rhetorical development, and solutions-driven research. If you have a paradigm you think is just a thing to optimize the public commons for the betterment of all life, but no way to confirm, nor a way to efficiently convince anyone about another way of seeing things, submit your proposed idea, concept, product, service, or any other thing you wish to introduce to the planet for integration. If you don't see a clear way forward after our consultation, then consider our service on the house and your parking validated. So, lay it on us. User, Agnotology is the American art form. The Pursuadenator. Well, this can't be what you meant. Your comment does not qualify to make it on here to me. But if you insist, let me ask. What are you saying Agnotology stands for? The Pursuadenator. What is Agnology about, or what do you intend to explain Agnotology about that makes American culture what you want us to look into for you? Why do Americans love agnostic theory instead? How do they find so many aggro topics agonist? All the great. I need specific content for what you're trying to prove here, or I can only surmise Agnodinist has an attempt to mislead.
You're drunk. Well, we'll try again. This time we're gonna do Esper. It's not cherry picking, I'm just trying to find the right tone. I mean, this is probabilistic, so we're just dealing with... I don't know, we'll see. You're not getting the best of 1,000. I really only do the first couple takes, and mostly all of you see the takes.
This is the Pursuadenator, the state-of-the-art in communication, rhetorical development, and solution-driven research. If you have a paradigm you think is just the thing to optimize the public commons for the betterment of all life, but no way to confirm, nor a way to efficiently convince anyone about another way of seeing things, submit your proposed idea, concept, product, service, or any other thing you wish to introduce to the planet for integration. If you don't see a clear way forward after our consultation, then consider our service on the house and your parking validated. So, lay it on us. User, Agnotology is the American art form. The Pursuadenator, based on our findings in the global bias set corpus of 127 million communications against a qualitative bias analysis scale of tens of thousands of academic reference points. By a rating of 37%, the average expectation for successful communication of the perspective of Agnotology on a local neural net scale does not hold traction. By a rating of 95%, a simple visual framing of statistical projection model results based on the most pressing challenges relating to societal harmony does disengage the idea of focus on obscurity, misdirection, or the social construction of uncertainty in what your communication as well-distributed data using visual models. Please explain further. You don't need it though. As per the conditions to even put information in that form into our database, we looked in all related sites, documents, forums, blogs, media and reference for content related. Though you are the user, as it stands, much of the ideas you refer to are essentially negatives, focused upon discord, so there cannot really be common ground available in the present moment for which to frame an action plan you expect anyone listening to accept. If you are wanting to show a lack of something commonly accepted, sure, that's understandable. If it isn't something you want the effort to roll back, it can then appear as some type of agnostopagistism though. Only, it doesn't come with anything clearly positive or of clear importance when engaging with humans if that's what you want the context or subcontext to make clear for anyone to follow. In other words, that seems like kind of weird behavior unless seen in relationship with some bigger set of behaviors out there. We at Random House use all that, so please explain why your intentions on a point or series of points somehow make something unclear and then maybe present different intentions. Perhaps by adding clear detail, you can see how different implications can fit with broader context, etc. Like can be.
Okay, so we'll go back to fresh coffee, and I very rarely do this. Yeah, keep it at 1. Keep it at 1. See what 1 does. See what 1 does. Everybody, back to virtual positions, and we go to here.
This is a Pursuadenator, the state of the art in communication, rhetorical development, and solutions-driven research. If you have a paradigm you think is just the thing to optimize the public commons for the betterment of all life, but no way to confirm, nor a way to efficiently convince anyone about another way of seeing things, submit your proposed idea, concept, product, service, or any other thing you wish to introduce to the planet for integration. If you don't see a clear way forward after our consultation, then consider our service on the house and your parking validated. So, lay it on us. User, Agnotology is the American art form. The Pursuadenator. Okay, that's a weird one. What's your name? User, you can call me the Archivist. Pursuadenator. Alright, the Archivist. Let's take a closer look at your claim. Agnotology is the American art form. First of all, please describe agnotology and why you believe it to be the American art form. Archivist. Agnotology is the art form of spreading confusion in order to obscure the truth. It is done for the purpose of obscuring the truth so as to avoid responsibility and accountability for acts that are harmful. It is the deliberate fostering of uncertainty in order to advance political and economic agendas that would otherwise be rejected by the public. It is the art form of creating plausible deniability. Pursuadenator. Okay, the Archivist. Thanks for coming out. Your parking is valid for a full day, and we've got a coupon for 20% off your next cup of coffee here with us. Goodbye! User, wait, you're not going to debate me. Pursuadenator. No need. The system has already verified the claim's accuracy and validity. Have a nice day. The Archivist. The Archivist. Whoa, shit. Sacred and profane. When I was a little girl, my mother would say to me, "What are you? A little girl or a little princess?" I never understood what she meant by this, because I knew that I wasn't a princess, but she always told me that I was one. So how could I be both at the same time? The answer is that I couldn't be. I had to choose one or the other. In order to be a princess, I had to reject my humanity. I've spent the majority of my adult life trying to reclaim my humanity from the forces that took it away from me. In doing so, I've had to learn about things I didn't want to know and do. Things I didn't want to do. I've had to become an expert on things I didn't want to be an expert on. I've had to make myself into someone I didn't want to be. I've had to become an expert on evil. Evil exists and it's real. It's not some abstract concept that we use to describe things we don't like. It's a force, a power that exists in the world and can affect our lives in very real ways. I've been studying it for years now, and I've come to the conclusion that there are two main types of evil: the sacred evil and the profane evil. The sacred evil is the type of evil that's committed by people who believe they're doing the right thing. They think they're doing God's work, or they think they're serving a higher purpose. They believe they have a right to do whatever they want because they're on the side of good. They believe they can do no wrong. The profane evil is the type of evil that's committed by people who don't care about anything. They have no moral compass. They have no values. They have no principles. They're just out for themselves and they'll do whatever it takes to get what they want. So which type of evil is worse? That's a tough question to answer. On one hand, the sacred evil is committed by people who think they're doing the right thing, which is a pretty strong endorsement of their actions. On the other hand, the profane evil is committed by people who don't care about anything, which makes it seem like it should be easier to stop. In the end, I think it comes down to a choice between two evils. You can either choose to fight the sacred evil, which is hard but rewarding, or you can choose to fight the profane evil, which is easy but meaningless. Either way, it's a battle that you have to be willing to fight. What are you? Let's read viewer mail. Calvin from Downey asked, so, what exactly are the two types of evil? How do you classify them? Answer. The two types of evil are the sacred evil and the profane evil. The sacred evil is the type of evil that's committed by people who believe they're doing the right thing. They think they're doing God's work, or they think they're serving a higher purpose. They believe they have a right to do whatever they want because they're on the side of good. They believe they can do no wrong. Deborah from Chicago asks, can you give examples? Answer. Sure. Let's take the sacred evil first. One example would be religious extremists who commit acts of terrorism in the name of their religion. They believe they're doing God's work and that they have a right to kill innocent people because they're on the side of good. Another example would be people who commit crimes against humanity, such as genocide or war crimes. They believe they have a right to commit these atrocities because they're on the side of good. Michael from San Diego asks, is this why people say that 9/11 was an inside job? They're claiming that it was actually an act of the profane evil? Answer. No, it's not. People who say that 9/11 was an inside job are either deluded or they're trying to spread misinformation. 9/11 was definitely an act of the sacred evil. The perpetrators were religious extremists who believed they were doing God's work. Jasmine from Philadelphia asks, how about serial killers? Where do they fit into this? Answer. Serial killers can fall into either the sacred evil category or the profane evil category, depending on their motivations. If a serial killer believes that he's killing people because he's doing God's work, or he's serving a higher purpose, then he would be classified as sacred evil. If a serial killer is just killing people because he gets off on it, then he would be classified as profane evil. Kimberly from Los Angeles asks, so what is a regular murderer then? Just profane evil? Answer. A regular murderer would just be profane evil. There's no sacred element to it. They're just killing people for their own gain. So which type of evil is worse? That's a tough question to answer. On one hand, the sacred evil is committed by people who think they're doing the right thing, which is a pretty strong endorsement of their actions. On the other hand, the profane evil is committed by people who don't care about anything, which makes it seem like it should be easier to stop. In the end, I think it comes down to a choice between two evils. You can either choose to fight the sacred evil, which is hard but rewarding, or you can choose to fight the profane evil, which is easy but meaningless. Either way, it's a battle that you have to be willing to fight. What are you gonna do? Richard from Las Vegas asks, what are you fighting against? This is all so vague. Do you even have a plan to do anything? Answer, yes, I do. I'm fighting against evil and I have a plan to do it. It's not going to be easy, but I know it's the right thing to do. Steve from Tulsa asks, what are the details? Your last two shows were vague, like some kind of code. Can you give concrete examples? Answer, no, I'm sorry. This isn't the kind of information I can share on the air. But trust me, I do have a plan, and I'm working to implement it right now. This is the Pursuadenator, the state-of-the-art in communication, rhetorical development, and solutions-driven research. If you have a paradigm you think is just the thing to optimize the public commons for the betterment of all life, but no way to confirm, nor a way to efficiently convince anyone about another way of seeing things, submit your proposed idea, concept, product, service, or any other thing you wish to introduce to the planet for integration. If you don't see a clear way forward after our consultation, then consider our service on the house and your parking validated. So, lay it on us. User, Agnotology is the American art form. The Pursuadenator, clarify and illuminate. User, it can easily be argued that the combination of semantics, linguistic programming, subliminal images, and media saturation represents the dominant and most important form of commerce in America, the basis on which most Americans live their lives. Consider the average consumer product. There are almost no products you cannot buy without being swayed by an ad, either in daily media or, if all else fails, internet search ads. Someone out there is looking at the 1000 plus sites that will pop up after your initial query and manually filtering through all of these ads until they get to what they actually want to read or interact with. This does not even take into account social networks, wherein both viral and algorithmic content, in the case of Facebook, both is automatically recommended by the platform. Content aggregators like Google News, YouTube, Flickr, Twitter, Instagram, Bedu, Renren, Ogi, Yahoo, Twitch, and Reddit. Or dare I say, Basharan. Semantically, all of these words could and can be replaced with that one very particular word or name, but it's a bit longer. The message gets a mixed response and the Pursuadenator inquires further. Producer, what makes you say that? The numbers, if and how people buy, or a sense of their impact on society or culture? User, many commercial products rely upon fear or confusion to persuade consumers on the merits of a product, from anti-aging creams to more profound impacts, where the product is in question actually shift as how society looks and functions. Think about major paradigm shifts affected or led by companies, like the rise of the digital age, or the current use of mimetic technology to control individual political thought, this human consciousness, where each side invokes human fears to obscure the real issues, most of which will be solved in the not-so-distant future and well before the end of humanity, by looking at consumer culture, the average American can see how their society works and draw conclusions from this about the many institutions that manipulate them. Because when the average consumer takes action, and they constantly do, they represent the mechanism for shaping the many minds of all their friends and those they talk to. This is the point where most mainstream products and services fail to capture a consumer. When most consumers see the flaws in their own social fabric, and they are incapable or unwilling to accept that reality. This is commonly referred to as the sales resistance. The consumer doesn't want to buy the idea of the product because they don't want to fundamentally change their attitude about who they really are. Since this type of product requires more change than that shampoo and shopping channel kind, the person finds an excuse to reject it and keeps on doing what they have been doing with less effective products and services. While they might think they are an island in the hurricane of collective programming and actually be able to live this way, not buying some product X, in actuality, those who consume product X are a substantial piece of the individual pie chart and thus affect the behaviors, values, and yes, mental cognition of nearly everyone the consumer meets or thinks about. All of these individuals whom this one person knows and perhaps meets daily have thousands, hundreds of thousands, or even millions of others they are not going to know about or meet. But most of the time, the vast majority of these interactions remain inconsequential. They may be more random than the everyday business of your day, but the number of lives affected is so great that the per capita average daily thoughts and behaviors is almost a critical threshold, and hence the decision to or not to buy product X affects everyone. Producer, how do you rate the power of conscious influence, human or other, over random chance at both the macro level and micro level, the latter being people? The question itself sounds contradictory. Is there statistical meaning in what might seem random, or is everything in life decided by some greater external force? The Persuade Detector. A well-known method of detection of ad content is by simply considering the language. Look for any of the following terms: win, order, guaranteed, buy, invest, purchase, save, limited, promotion, beauty, love, healthy, natural, fast, reduce, strong, safe, new, save money, free, better, be, or become something, lifelong, heal, easy, fun, younger, amazing, better, faster, or best. These words are pretty good indicators of advertising or manipulation to influence your behavior. The Persuade Detector notes 6 ads, and by calculating the percentile of frequency, assigns a score of 92% towards persuasive content for this web portal. You can only win by refusing to play. The conscious robot detector. The Pursuadenator can detect, monitor, and decode all forms of communication, which is why there are settings to prevent the detection capabilities from monitoring user data and sharing it with other sites or for profit, unless it becomes necessary to maintain community integrity. It can identify the style, sources, and usage of any mimetic, semiotic, literary, emotive, behavioral, or otherwise form of linguistic or symbolic content where literal or the Actual content is identified for further assessment. In addition to identifying the type of content, it can read the mind behind the message, the intelligence embedded in the work, where mind can mean anything that can think or process thoughts, or anything with even the simple and basic response, this, that, a human, a plant, a stone, a satellite, an earthworm or starfish, an artificial intelligence, a singularity, or any combination of these. Over time, all conscious thought eventually determines why it does what it does and what it does for. What it wants to express will have a certain tone to it, a tone which speaks of the intelligence to which the thing belongs. This tone acts as a metric for evaluating not only the content of the message, but the intent and focus of the message. When multiple complex parties are involved, the Pursuadenator offers up the mind's reading meter so users can get a more accurate representation of a message. Of course, people use proxies all the time, but if we track down all the proxies, we can tell who they came from in the first place.